Russia plans major tax hikes.
Here's a summary of the article.
The Russian Ministry of Finance has now presented the main points of a planned tax reform. It includes an income tax hike for high earners, with the maximum rate going up from 15 to 22%, and an increase in corporate tax rate from 20 to 25%. There will also be no more exemptions for VAT. Is the reform the adjustment for fairness it claims to be? A higher tax rate will be introduced for those earning 200,000 rubles a month. People with that kind of salary can hardly be described as very wealthy in Moscow. So the idea is to cash in on this class with a small surplus, while oligarchs find ways to optimize their taxes. In addition, only salaries will be taxed at relatively high rates, whereas dividends are only taxed at 15%. So company owners will pay less than their employees. What an absurdity. This is what this progressive taxation looks like. And there's no minimum below which income is tax-free. Not even the poorest will be exempt from this burden. The main measures include increasing VAT and corporation tax. Hence, the population and companies will continue to finance the war. The question is whether the defense industry can bolster the civilian sectors. But Russia has reached its limits in terms of reducing unemployment, utilizing free production capacities and general synergies between the civil and military sectors. The military sectors are already growing while the civilian sectors are stagnating. The World in Focus, as seen by a Canadian leading global affairs analyst, writer and speaker, in his review of international media.
This post received a score of 3,300, with an upvote ratio of 96%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
Putin started this special operation. He should open up his secret bank account.
He'd burn Russia to the ground before reaching that point.
He will burn Russia to the ground before reaching that point. FTFY.
He has burned Russia to the ground. It is a wasteland of fire and ash, and the very air you breathe is a poisonous fume. Russia is just so big it hasn't noticed it's dead yet.
There is evil there that does not sleep.
Because it's cooking the next batch of crocodile.
Ooh yeah, skin and bones, literally, of users' appendages. It's so hot.
Needed to fund a special military operation war invasion.
Shush. It's not a war.
I mentioned it once but I think I got away with it.
Whenever you are asked about it, say that it is merely a conflict of interest. Or that Russia was the innocent young boy in a field picking flowers and the big bad bully Ukraine stepped on those flowers and made Russia cry. Now they have to defend themselves.
That's what gets Putin hurt. He won 15% approval when he took over Crimea. He lost it all in 2 days after pushing back the retirement age and lowering pensions. More than men coming back in coffins, it's taxes and attacks on the social systems that will get the Russian people upset at Putin.
Approval ratings are meaningless for a dictator.
Really not. Back to my example, when he increased the retirement age there were massive protests in Russia, lasting for days until Putin was forced to back down. Putin isn't like any other dictator. His hold on Russia isn't as strong as Kim Jong-un's on North Korea, for instance. Approval means a lot for Putin.
Not as much approval as keeping Russians apathetic.
In response to the protests, Putin's regime reinterpreted the mobilization decree and minimized the impact of it on Slavic Russians within the metropolitan areas of Moscow and St. Petersburg. Ukraine has been holding off on its own large-scale mobilization because there is no point in mobilizing manpower if you don't have the weapons to equip them, and the infrastructure to train them. If the recent wave of approved support among Ukraine's supporters changes that, then Ukraine will likely go to a large mobilization round. Russia will very likely have to undertake a mobilization round this year, and if Ukraine undertakes a mobilization round this year, Russia will absolutely have to.
A higher tax rate will be introduced for those earning 200,000 rubles a month. People with that kind of salary can hardly be described as very wealthy in Moscow. There's no minimum below which income is tax-free. Not even the poorest will be exempt from this burden.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.